Who do you turn to when there's a murder at the embassy? Why, Mischa Barton, of course. Let's talk about the new film, Murder at the Embassy. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass, and I'm here to talk to you about Murder at the Embassy, which is coming to theaters, digital, and on demand on November 14th, 2025. It is a new, kind of stylish whodunit that involves a murder at an embassy. Is this movie worth your time? Is this movie worth watching? My hot take is, I think you should watch it later. I thought it was fun. I like the cast, and it has a really good style, but overall, I didn't enjoy this murder mystery as much as I expected to. It's fine, but I think this is maybe a story that you wait to watch at home. So, all that being said, I'm going to tell you about the film, a few things I like, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into a recap. So as you can imagine, there'll be spoilers in the recap section. It'll be a very light recap, but there will still be spoilers. I would turn it off when I get to the recap. For that, though, I'll be vague. I'll be spoiler free. At least when I get to those spoilers. So in Murder at the Embassy, you have a murder at the embassy. And because it's so sensitive and because they don't want to get the police involved, they call a private detective in. This person named Miranda Green, played by Mischa Barton, and she gets on the case and tries to figure out why this person was murdered and who at the embassy was involved. It's very kind of like Clue-esque. So does she do it? Is she able to solve this murder? Well, you have to watch the movie to find out. So, things I liked about this movie. The first, I like the characters. There's a fun kind of cast of characters. It's your kind of typical whodunit, like a interesting, varied cast. There's like an actor. There's the ambassador. There's his wife. There's some security guards, things like that. There's a fun little like group of people here that you get to kind of interact with and that kind of give it a little bit of flavor. Second thing I like the style. It has like a fun kind of like older style. Like it does feel like a movie kind of that's evoking a different time, like a detective novel time, like an older time. So you get that feel. It's from some of the colors, some of the characters, things like that. It is kind of like a fun looking film, an entertaining movie. And the last thing I love the music. It's got some good kind of string music to help set the tone, especially as the investigation unfolds. You get some nice instrumental here to kind of like help up the mood. So all that being said, things I didn't love as much. This is a weird one, but some of the accents didn't feel that great, especially Mischa Barton's. I mean, maybe I just don't know British accents, but hers felt a little forced. I expected someone of her caliber to kind of like be a little more natural. Some of the writing and dialogue wasn't that great either, so kind of accents and writing are not great. I mean, it's fine. It gets the job done. It keeps the story moving along, but I didn't love it. It kind of took me out of the moment a couple times. Second thing I didn't love as much. It has kind of like a surprise ending, like you know, things are introduced. It's almost like a Scooby-Doo-esque, not fully Scooby-Doo, but like it feels like some things are a little bit too convenient. Some things are a little bit, too easy to get to. I feel like this movie could have been a little more complicated. It's not like a super simple story, but it's only 83 minutes long. I feel like they could have had a few more twists and turns here. I felt like they really kind of wrapped things up fairly quickly after the initial mystery. So, all that being said, Murder at the Embassy comes to theaters, digital and on demand, November 14th, 2025. Like I said, I think you should watch it later. Just wait for it to come to streaming or on demand. It's an enjoyable movie. Throw it on. You'll have a fun time, but it's not like something you have to run out and see right now. So if you do see it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. I'm going to really quickly go into a recap right now. Very quick, very light. I will miss some things. I'm just going to try to go very quickly. So if you don't know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So Murder at the Embassy takes place at the embassy, the British embassy in Egypt. There is a secretary at the embassy who is killed. She's found dead in the middle of the night, and rather than have an incident where the cops are involved, they call a private detective named Miranda Green to come and investigate. She questions everyone, and finds out that there was a scrap of paper that this secretary named Maggie had on her that I think had like not like a Nazi bank account, like some sort of bank account linked to the Nazis. So they're like, huh, that's interesting. Like maybe she was killed trying to smuggle this information. Who knows? But then they think like, well, if she was a Nazi sympathizer and she was killed, that person would probably be happy. They'd be like, yeah, I did it. Like I killed a Nazi. No one comes forward. So maybe there's more to this story. Now, we do initially start to think that maybe the secretary was a Nazi. So Miranda goes to check out her apartment, and this leads her to like a hidden cache that has some passports for this Maggie person and a copy of Mein Kampf. And you're like, oh, that seems like pretty bad evidence that she's a Nazi. But Miranda's also followed throughout this time, and she has to make a quick escape with this evidence as this mysterious person is pursuing her. So she jumps in the car, she drives it away, eventually evades the person, and then looks at this information. Now, she goes back to the embassy, she questions more people, and eventually she finds that there is a secret passage out of the embassy. And there's this like cat head statue, and if you turn it, it opens a door that leads out of the embassy. They follow that and they get to a store that I guess sells desert items. And her guy, the person that's with her, like a kind of a security cop who is protecting her, is like, oh, this leads to some of the secrets of the desert. We should go check it out. And so then they get like camels and go to the pyramids. And I was like, okay, that feels like that will take a long time. Everyone else is just sitting at the embassy under essentially house arrest while this person's investigating, and they're gonna go on like an expedition to the pyramids. Maybe it's very quick. I don't know, but it felt a little silly. And that is not where it stops being silly, because when they get to the pyramids, they find a like Nazi tent, like a secret Nazi base that's at the pyramids. That doesn't seem like a place you'd want to be. You wouldn't want to set up your base at the pyramids. That feels like that would be a very visible spot. You'd maybe want it to be further away, somewhere farther, removed from big attraction. I mean, it's not like a huge base, it's just a tent, but it's a Nazi tent. So feels like this is a little bit too conspicuous. Now, they enter the tent and they get captured, and they get captured by someone who works at the embassy, this person named Samir. He was like a groundskeeper, but he was a little bit off. He liked dogs, and so Miranda's dog took a liking to him, but apparently he's bad. So he has a 9mm on him, which is the same caliber of gun that killed Maggie. And he captures them and ties them up. And so he's going, I think he's going to get the Nazis to bring him in, and he gets shot. Boom, boom, boom. So what happened then? Well, surprise, there's this secret organization of, loyalists to Egypt that support Egypt and are trying to undermine the Nazis from taking control. They also don't really seem to love the British, but they're there to help Egypt. So they've been working against the Nazis to make sure that they don't take control, and they were working with Maggie to try to get some information. So it turns out Maggie wasn't a Nazi. She was actually helping them out, and she was probably killed for that. Now we think Samir probably killed Maggie because he had that 9mm, but not so fast. Found some more information. Miranda goes back now with all this new information and has the big reveal. So the Nazis are trying to force Egypt to join them, to become sympathizers, and they are doing this by essentially going to kidnap the prince, the 14-year-old prince who is next in line. The king, I think, is not doing that well. He seems like he is on the downswing, so they want to kidnap the prince to force the hand and get Egypt to support the Nazis. They're going to do this by stoking rebellion and getting weapons into Cairo. I guess they had to smuggle them in. I don't know why they just didn't bring them in. Apparently they had to smuggle them in, and they're smuggling them in through the British embassy. And Samir was supposedly helping them, but he's only a henchman. You would need someone higher up to be able to do this, and we find out that higher up person was the ambassador. He was doing this. He was smuggling in the weapons, trying to help the Nazi sympathizers. I guess he thought that was how the tides were turning, but he's also getting paid for it, so probably a little bit greedy. And unfortunately, he and Maggie were in love. They had been in the embassy for 7 years. They had been in love. The combination to his safe, which Miranda somehow just figured out, was the date that they arrived at the embassy, which was written on a picture of both of them. That apparently was the combination to the safe that Miranda just guessed from observation. I mean, I guess it is 3 numbers, but that does seem kind of silly. Anyways, so he was in love with Maggie, but when Maggie found out, I guess, about the Nazi sympathizers and things like that, she was going to get the evidence to these Egyptian loyalists, and that caused the ambassador to have to kill her. He shot her with that 9mm, threw it out into the garden. Samir, the henchman, got it and, smuggled that out. He had a list of like bank accounts that Maggie was going to give. He got those, but unfortunately a little piece tore off, I guess, and that's what Maggie had. That's what the piece that Miranda found later. But he had that list, and he smuggled that out in his clothes so that the full list wasn't found. But Miranda did all this investigation, figured this all out, forces his confession. Turns out the ambassador killed Maggie. The ambassador was working with the Nazis to try to, do bad things. And so there we go. Case solved. Now, after that, we do find a little bit of additional information. Maggie's talking with like a British investigator about this whole thing, and he says that it goes even higher, and they are basically asking for her discretion. They want her to get credit for solving this murder, but they don't want her to tell the full story about the ambassador, because that then implicates someone even higher up. Apparently there's someone in the royal family, I think it was someone named David, I don't know, not me, but someone in the royal family, who was a Nazi sympathizer. And so that is where the connection between the ambassador and him got. That copy of Mein Kampf was that British royals copy that was given to the ambassador because they had been close friends growing up, and it was signed David because that is what this royal person, who maybe his name was Edward, but his friends called him David, and so that's why the ambassador had this copy that was signed by him, and that is why, and that would have then implicated the royal family. It would have been a big embarrassment. So this investigator is like, hey, we just want certain things to not be in there, and Miranda's like, okay. So she's going to stay quiet. She does get credit, but she's not going to embarrass the crown. And there we go. That is Murder at the Embassy. Like I said, it's okay. I mean, it's fun. It's entertaining. I liked the cast, but it's not that great. So check it out eventually. Wait for it to come to streaming on demand. But if you do see it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.